Hello and welcome back to Stories, the Path of Destinies. Let's continue this. As we are loading.
As he set out down the path, Renato wondered why the parts of the Sky Ripper had only surfaced now, thousands of years after the Transcendent Emperor had discarded it. This Emperor, Isengrim III, had performed terrible, bloodthirsty rituals to invoke the lost gods. Perhaps that was bringing up lost artifacts. How perfect, then, that the Sky Ripper would reappear to be his destruction.
Test the Sky Ripper on the Imperial Outpost.
That was always a rush.
I can imagine. Ow.
Of all the artisans he was creating employment for, truly, he was a job creator.
Absolutely. All the Coopers and Boxsmiths. Long sword. Okay. Ooh, I do have a skill point. More health is always good. So it's having more sword magic to increase my ability to heal myself. Slow down time until you're after a successful attack.
He was more and more extraordinary.
Yeah. The less the enemy moves, the better. Ow.
Renato checked to make sure his sword was superb. Yep.
It is still swords-like. Oh, that definitely helps. I don't think you can actually stand on the crumbling
He was
parts.
tired of slaughtering ravens. Maybe it was time to test out the new weapon.
Yeah.
He turned a knob on the Sky Ripper. It made strange mechanical noises. The wheels spun faster. It began to hum.
The Sky Ripper was following his every step. At least it acknowledged him as the master. but there was no trigger. How was he supposed to fire it? Fire, he said. Nothing happened.
Oh.
Well, maybe it just needed to warm up. After all, it hadn't been fired in thousands of years.
Yeah, maybe, you know, if you don't look at it, maybe warm it up a little bit.
A very clever engineer named Elon Muskrat had got his start making floating platforms. Not many people knew that.
Then these things are probably very, very dangerous. Also, Elon Muskrat didn't do any of that. Just took credit from the actual engineers that did.
It would be fun to try out that one. And here was a handy workbench.
Energy on kill. Killing enemies gives you 3% sword energy back. I kinda like that. Wonder what level 3 shield breaker would be like. Well, my buddy is being a buddy.
The Sky Ripper was making a whining noise now, and its wheels were spinning so fast he could no longer see them. Bernardo had a thought. Please? He asked. The Sky Ripper began to glow. Boom! The outpost burst into flame. Raven flapped out screaming, wings on fire. The base was his.
Yay!
The far speaker toad came hopping out. Bernardo! It croaked, sounding like a toad version of Zenobia. Don't use the Sky Ripper. It will destroy the world. Yeah, sure it will, cracked Bernardo. Pull the other one.
If you don't
trust me, go see Calaveras. That sounded sensible. Why did she always have to sound sensible all the time? Oh, it was infuriating. Of course she would say that. He was supposed to hurry and bring the Sky Ripper to the council so the rebels could actually win the war. But what if she was right? Damn it.
Sky-Ripper turned out to be an amazing weapon. Time to celebrate, but then Zenobia crashed the party claiming Sky-Ripper would destroy the world. Of course, she was lying. Probably. What if she wasn't? Calaveras was the final authority in legendary artifacts. Maybe Bernardo should head to the mountain and speak with Calaveras. She was an enemy general. Of course she would be afraid of Sky-Ripper. She should bring the weapon to the rebel base and just win the war. Let's learn.
Zenobia was so frustrating. If she couldn't get you with magic, she'd get you with reason and caution and sensible arguments.
Yeah.
Of course, Calaveras, he might not know the latest scientific theories with evidence and all, but Renato preferred the knowledge in the old books anyway. What they said felt true, and that's what's important. You should be careful. She'd probably guess he'd come here. That meant she'd probably set an ambush for him.
True.
Renato landed on the island, expecting Zenobia's ambush at any moment. On the other hand, there did seem to be a lot of ravens around here. Were they just lost patrols stirring up trouble? Were they looking for him? If she was going to ambush him, wouldn't she keep the road clear so he wouldn't be on his guard?
True.
Or, unless they were part of the ambush, the obvious reasons he was meant to see to take his mind off the ones he wouldn't see. God, after all these years, she still drove him crazy.
Yeah, seems your paranoia is getting to you.
Terror of the sandcastles when he was too...
Sounds like it. Okay, that is going onward without return. Got plenty of ore.
He was sort of yanking his own chain, wasn't he?
Oh my. Yeah, probably should have flushed right after the explodey guy. But I got a nice amount of
Imagine getting a horse up in one of these things. He would be cursing a blue streak.
Ow.
Ice walls only let you through if they knew you were cool.
Well, I'm cool. Okay. Yay, more health. Well, I should be able to make the Void Sword. Maybe with a little more ore. Nice. Perfect.
Zenobia's ambush never materialized. Could she be sincere? Calaveras was a great scholar. Renato doubted even Zenobia could convince him to say something he didn't believe. And if he was working for the Empire, he'd never have told Renato about the Sky Ripper in the first place.
True.
Well, he would listen to the wise old toad, but that didn't mean he had to agree.
Very true. Well, 25's explosive ravens do just that. Boom to your doom. We almost have a nice amount of ore.
Hated warriors. They could hurt you and you couldn't hurt them back.
Yeah. That was a level up, though. Hopefully I don't need 100 to get the Void Sword. Are the crystals making noise? Or is that the Sky Ripper?
This was much easier than free climbing.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I think that's the Sky Ripper. A nasty thing.
Sometimes, at home, he'd wave his sword around for why? Why did he listen to Zenobia? She was the enemy. Of course she didn't want him to use his shiny new weapon. The thing was, though, she was appallingly honest. I mean, she wouldn't lie even to an enemy. At least she'd never lied to him. So if she said he had to see Calaveras, it probably was a good idea to see him.
Yeah.
It was infuriating.
Well, at least I back at full health.
He was practically sure he'd find something useful in one of these things.
Well, every once in a while I find an ore. See?
Bernardo wondered idly if people who had built these poles had really, really long tentacles.
Could be. Freeze time for everyone but Bernardo when countering an attack at the last second. Last a few seconds. I mean, that'd probably do me a lot better.
Calaveras examined the Sky Ripper eagerly. How often does a new relic surface? He brushed off Zenobia's warning. Oh, what a sorceress know about physics. However, he did know a few ways to make the weapon even more precise and more powerful. And quickly went off to tinker. Soon the Sky Ripper no longer whined, but thrummed like a hummingbird taking off. It was ready for war.
And so, Bernardo thanked Calaveras and took the legendary weapon to the final battle. But where were the other rebel ships? Had something happened?
He could defeat the Imperial fleet with a Sky Ripper, but he couldn't govern. He was not cut out to be Emperor, and he'd no desire to be one. There were a few rebel ships here and there, but there was no organization to the battle. Where was the Council flagship? Something had gone terribly wrong. But he had the Sky Ripper, and the Ravens had nowhere they could hide.
Oh.
This sword from the mystical East could make time itself slow for you.
Nice. Increase movement and attack speed. So these two are maxed out. Yeah, I think the Sky Ripper was making those noises. Uh-huh.
He hadn't noticed that path before.
As a sword is a key. Use each sword to open a different door. I don't have any upgrade points at the moment.
Bernardo checked for a false compartment. Nope.
Elemental resistance. Okay, do I have to hookshot my way onto these ships? Yep.
He felt like Tarzan.
You know who Lord Greystroke is?
The council speaker was on the deck, bleeding. Why was she even here? They found our base, she croaked. The council, all dead. We must surrender. No, we can still win this, said Renardo. I have the Sky Ripper. He would be a real hero and save the day, even when all appeared to be lost. You're a good boy, said the speaker. And then she died.
Good boy. Okay. It's gonna be a while before I can afford anything else good. Nice.
Oh, they really ought to put a railing on this thing, he thought.
They really do.
Fired the Sky Ripper. With a tremendous whoosh, the Emperor's flagship went up in flames.
Yay.
For good measure, he played the beam around it, setting all the other nearby Imperial ships on fire too. And he watched them burn. The few remaining rebels gave a cheer. And then
Yay.
they stopped cheering.
Uh-oh.
There was a hole in the air. A blackness, like a tear in a parchment. Wind was blowing into it, widening it. It grew larger. Crates were falling off ship decks, upwards into the hole. And the world itself seemed bent, like the reflection on a curved mirror as it poured into the ravenous hole. He guessed that somewhere behind that ever-widening hole were gods that had long been exiled. But it didn't really matter. Time was done for here, and soon it was. And just like that, he was alive again, and back on the Farfarer, still fleeing burning Ubar. The book was still open before him. So, the book was a portal.
Oh.
It took you to the future, when your destinies would branch. He had failed and died 3 times, but he'd learned another true thing. The core was powerful, but dangerous if used improperly.
New story completed. Hyper hero. What kind of hero are you? Hero who takes all necessary steps to save the day. New truth revealed. Sky Ripper core is unstable. Tier 4 skills unlocked. And yeah, also received the Chivo of... Let's see if I can look this up. It's like a small Death Star. Find out why the Sky Ripper was so well hidden. Hyper Hero. Return of the Hippie. And Don't Think Twice.
But he was starting to feel like he was getting the hang of this. There was a way through to victory. He could feel it. He just had to keep running the path of Destinies.
Title
With
drop.
that, the book fluttered back to the beginning, and he fell into it. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renata knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong.
but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely.
True.
Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
True. So, which direction should I go? I think I want to go with him because I want to meet up with Zenobia again.
Ah, Lapino. Apparently, the Mad Rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly own. Lapino always wiggled out of trouble, given time. But he was out of time. Lapino's frantic message said that the Ravens were going to kill him for being a rebel spy. And that he had a clever plan. If the fleet reached him first, they'd string him up for that. Never mind the winged horse. Or so Lapino had told him over the far speaker anyway. Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen the winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens?
Could be. Ow, ow.
Sometime that was odd. Renato had been here, at this exact place, at this exact time.
Yeah.
But this time, there were so many more Ravens.
True.
People had laughed at the government workbench placement program, but you could see the benefits everywhere.
Yeah. So, second level spell damage. Although... really, I deal with physical more than spell. Okay, now I'm back to doing the deep voice. This seems like a hidden path.
Renato looked around the empty village and reflected.
The Sky Ripper had turned out to be far too dangerous to be used. Time to turn to what he knew best.
Mm-hmm. And destroy 25 predators. Wayfair.
The rock felt hot in his hand. He could feel its secret power.
Ooh, level 2 shield breaking. I like the sound of that. Like the sound of that so much, I want to go and check it out. And take damage.
Two eyes good. One eye dead.
But, well, you only have one eye there, Renardo.
Ravens were landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lupino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lupino. Well, unless he really was a traitor, obviously. Then they'd probably pin a medal on his chest.
Yeah. We can go this way.
Had that door been open before?
Not yet. Aha. Dear Zenobia, how are you enjoying the academy? New friends must already be flogging around you, no doubt. Here in the palace, things the same. I have much time to dedicate to my special hobby. Been collaborating with Professor Calaveras and his team of experts to investigate the nature of the island. God is telling me the islands are alive. I think they have the will of their own. Do you hear me, daughter? Our world could be more than floating masses of rock and water. Professor Calaveras and his boys have made measurements. Islands are drifting, surrounded by the endless skies. Difficult to notice, but through careful measurements of the wind over long periods of time, they are certain the islands are moving westward. But where to? It may take centuries, millennia to reach the destination. I have a strange idea. What if the islands are some sort of herd, and they're deliberately searching for another herd of islands? Could you imagine new islands with their own inhabitants? The thought that we might not be alone? If only I could witness it long enough to, or live long enough to witness the event. With love, Father. Huh. It's a nice letter.
Not everyone knew how to use magical gems. Of course, not everyone had magical gem gauntlets like he did.
Mm-hmm. Increased critical.
Lapino would betray him.
Yep.
But now Renato knew that. What would Lapino do if he knew that Lapino was going to betray him? Well, he'd concoct some crazy scheme, wouldn't he? That used Lapino's betrayal against him, and it would blow up in his face. Yeah. Maybe he was overthinking this. Well, that would be a first.
Yeah.
The mysterious sword from the east made you so fast you could catch a fly with your chopsticks. If that's what you really wanted.
Ow. Okay, Lapino.
Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato recognized the cards. It was Lapino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The ravens are coming. Oh, the prison thing. Right, yeah, we see this guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal. They're very reasonable people, actually, for weasels. Now, I got a brilliant plan to kidnap Zenobia. We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows, and that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who also happened to be a deadly sorcerer and, oh, his only daughter. That would be worth it. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power.
Yeah. Well, I want to meet up with Zenobia and try different choices after that.
Zenobia wasn't just the Emperor's daughter, of course. She'd been Renato's best friend in Sword Fu school. And you're still mad for her, the rabbit reminded him. They'd been close. She'd told him things no one else knew. But she'd never told him who she really was. She knows all the Emperor's plans, chuckled the master spy. She won't give them up easily. She'll tell the interrogators, all right, said Lapino. Taking her would change the game, all right. The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency.
Yeah.
Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators.
Could he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty.
Wind and ore. Yeah, perfect. Well, luckily with all the different keys, I should be able to collect ore faster. Of course, then I wonder what happens when essences and ore become useless.
The city was burning, and there was no one to put out the fires. If somehow Zenobia survived her father and inherited his crown, what sort of empire would she be heir to?
True.
But he couldn't think about that, could he?
So, this one is completely full. Recover from being hit almost instantly and attacker is knocked down. I like the sound of that.
Bernardo was remembering all his old tricks, and some new ones. Now, he really ought to ask for a raise.
Yeah.
Ooh, a workbench. Did he have any jewels he hadn't tried out? He had. Attacks have a 10% chance of dealing double damage.
Yeah.
should follow my nose, thought Renato.
Maybe. Ow. Attack speed.
Smashing things was fun.
It is. Increase your attack speed by 10%. I really like that. I'll even let go of defense for that.
A present? For me? Why was Lupino urging him to capture Zenobia? Obviously it was a trap.
Yeah.
But you never knew how Lupino thought. Sometimes his plans were so convoluted they did the exact opposite to what Lupino wanted. Yeah, there must be some way to play on that, Renato thought.
Mm-hmm.
Renato had once invested in a jewel store, but it lost money because someone kept robbing it. It was him.
Jalapeno.
So, what's this plan of yours? Use me as bait, said Lupino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lupino dressing as an old blind toad, and Renato hiding inside a monstrous watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renato.
Mm-hmm. Not the time for harebrained scheme.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sure you know better, said Lupino. I need more materials, thought Renato.
Yep.
The Emperor! Cause the ravens! Now!
I'm guessing that's the time stop thing I just unlocked. Dear Zenobia, as you read this letter, you are locked in your chambers, ready to spend the last night before... Well, you know, I won't apologize. I know you're too proud to forgive me. I also know that you won't resist reading, though you are a cat. As much as I tried to educate you like a proper toad, I swear to you, and you have to believe me, I did not plan at all this when I adopted you. You have always been my special little kitten. That is why I'm writing this now, weeks in advance. I know I will not have the heart to do it the night of the sacrifice. If I think of you as my daughter, I might change my mind. You must think I'm selfish, and yes, I am selfish. Sad little toad that is afraid to die. But what I am doing will ultimately serve the greater good. I want the power, I want it all, so I'll continue to keep my subjects content. Peace for eternity. Even if you hate me now, you can still respect that. You have to. Only way I can forgive myself for doing this to you. I will miss you for eternity. Tomorrow, try not to make a scene. Everyone will be watching. Still with love, Father.
This stone was incredibly valuable. Renato
Find level 3 gem.
Sense it. Also, it still had its price tag.
Maximum physical resistance is nice. By 40%. There's a lot of armor.
I think this is yours, said Renato. But he couldn't hear his enemy's answer.
Ouch!
Renato slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her bedroom. She was curled up on her bed. Oh, he'd forgotten how beautiful she was. How sleek. How soft. He tapped her on the shoulder with his sword. She became smoke. And he noticed he had a blade to his throat. Stay a while. Heard a familiar voice. Did you really think you could capture me? Zenobia said as her ship lifted off. Now I just wanted some privacy. Renato said, did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you? And he told her why. His Imperial Majesty wanted to bring the lost gods back. They could make him immortal. But to seal the bargain, he needed a sacrifice. Someone who truly loved him. You're lying. She was furious. You can't prove that. I can. And so, they set sail for the Nexus.
Well.
The scientists at the observatory have resurrected one of his victims. Well, he's not exactly alive, but it can talk, and it can't lie. You took a big risk. You know, I could just cast a spell to make you tell me where the rebel base is. And you wouldn't consider that cheating? She frowned. Ugh, fine. Let's go get your witness.
Well. That'll be it for next time. Yeah, it seems the Emperor is not a good person. What a surprise. Have a good one, folks.